Good morning, everyone. It is 8 a.m. in New York City, 6 a.m. in Denver, and 9 p.m. in Tokyo, Japan. My name is Michelle Kinney. I'm here with my co-host Julie Roginski and Frederick Pogue. Welcome to the Mayday Morning Show. Guys, first of all, TGIF. Great week. Great week.
We got through it.
We
Our
got
first
through
week-
it.
Our first week, we got through it.
We did it.
We did.
We did it. And the news cycle this week has been crazy, like most other weeks. And I feel like it ages me 10 years. And every single time that I think we've hit peak cray, Trump finds new heights. And as I often say, a lack of imagination is a very dangerous thing. So last night's new twist is a big one. John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor, has been indicted. 18 counts violating the Espionage Act, which is serious stuff, for his alleged mishandling and transmitting of classified information. He is being charged under the same law, if we remember, the one that applied to Trump himself. So Trump is once again using the Justice Department as a weapon to go after his enemies. But the irony here is rich. Trump stole those classified documents and hid them in his bathroom for toilet reading material, and then bragged about having them to impress people at Mar-a-Lago. And then the FBI raided his house, and he was indicted for it. I know we're not big fans of John Bolton here. He's not a saint. We all remember his book and all that ridiculousness, his own ego that got in the way of doing the right thing, which has us all feeling some kind of way. However, it's plain, it's very simple, and Donald Trump is doubling down on his campaign promise that he said, "I am your retribution. Say mean things about me and hurt my fifis, and I will ruin you." And that's not a president. It's unfortunately our president, but it's not a president that we want. That's a dictator. It's a snowflake with nuclear codes. Number one king baby. And in America, we don't do kings. And that's a topic we'll discuss a little bit later in the show. But I mean, come on, the media is already running with, oh, is this DOJ fair? And they're acting like this is just like totally normal and everything's fine. And Julie, I'm wondering, with your point of view and your history in television, I'm just wondering what you would do in this situation if you were covering this, and how do you cover a story like this, along with James Comey, Tish James, all of the stuff that's going on, without falling for the spin that Trump wants us to repeat?
Great question. Actually, I'm sitting here. You can see in a little bit of a different background. I'm actually at CNN, which is why I'm made up, and I don't have my glasses, so I can't see anything. But I also literally just talked about this. Just got off the air talking about this.
Oh, wow.
And you're absolutely right. It's not being covered in a way that it should be covered. I think the problem with mainstream media in the sense is there's always a TikTok, right? Like this person gets indicted, then that person gets indicted, then this person gets indicted. And there's no overarching theme, which is exactly what you laid out. Donald Trump is on a retribution campaign. Donald Trump, of course, did much more than John Bolton did. John Bolton, who actually I know from my Fox days in private, is actually one of the funniest people you'll ever meet, but you're absolutely a complete egomaniac, and had the opportunity to testify in front of Congress, chose not to. Instead, decided that he was going to save it all for the book. If there are any MAGA people watching, and I don't know if there are, but this would be my message to you. Much like Joseph Stalin came for the old Bolsheviks that created the revolution, Donald Trump will eventually come for you. Because with people like this, it is never enough. If you have this mentality, no amount of abasement, no amount of loyalty will be enough for him. And as he gets older, and he's pretty much up there already, what's going to end up happening is the paranoia is going to seep in more and more and more and more. And eventually, nobody is going to be safe. Because now, Michelle, we've heard from MAGA world that they may be potentially, and I don't know if this is true, looking at Mike Pence. Why would they be looking at Mike Pence? Because in the 365 days times 4 that he was vice president, one day, just one day, he did not do what Donald Trump demanded, but what the Constitution demanded.
Yep.
For that, he's going to be in deep trouble.
Mhm.
Again, I blame this. I say this every day. Carthago delenda est. John Roberts is the reason for why this is happening. It's happening because John Roberts gave Donald Trump a get out of jail free card for anything he does, knowing that Trump has the ability to pardon anybody who does this for him. So Pam Bondi can go ahead and indict me, you, anybody for anything. She'll get a get out of jail free card eventually.
Right.
And that's thanks to John Roberts. And look, again, John Bolton's not my cup of tea. John Bolton never met a war he didn't want to get into. John Bolton never met a Democrat he didn't want to trash. But this is not right. This is not right. And what it does is begs the question of any indictments. I mean, they could have John Bolton dead to rights on anything, and yet nobody's going to believe it anymore because they've been so political in this Justice Department. It's exciting. I don't know, Frederick, what you think about this, but I'm angry at the media for not really putting the big picture the way it should be on this, and just cameras pointing at John Bolton's house. Any moment now, John Bolton's going to get in his black SUV and he's going to drive down to turn himself in and get fingerprinted and get like, come on, that's not the story here. It's just not.
Well, I think you hit on a really salient point there, Julie. Is
Wow.
You just said that no one's gonna, even if it's true, no one's gonna believe it. And this is the damage that Trump and Pam Bondi and his sycophants have done to the Justice Department. I mean, one of the people that's in the crosshairs right now, James Comey, and what he did, which was, even though he tries to spin it with Hillary back in the 2016 election, that was absolutely an ego thing.
Yep.
He may not admit that. He wrote an entire book deflecting against that. But look where he's at right now. And I'm not so sure Pam Bondi even gets a get out of jail free card, because for Trump, there's two kinds of people. There's people that do exactly what he says when he sends it, or when he says it, and then when he's done with you, you are a pawn or a patsy, or you're something to be sacrificed to push the blame off of him, because how Donald Trump kind of runs his life. And unfortunately, as you've pointed out, the media just gets after this like catnip. He'll do something that's BS, it'll go badly, and then he'll distract with more BS. And then they're just following along. As you pointed out.
Yeah. And you know who's next, by the way? I think, and I have no evidence of this, Bill Barr. They're going to come after Bill Barr.
Of course.
Bill Barr had the temerity to say that this election was not stolen, right? Bill Barr did everything Donald Trump demanded. He was one of the worst attorney generals in the world. He covered up the Russia Mueller report. He covered up the Epstein stuff. I mean, I can go down a list of how Bill Barr violated his oath of office on a daily basis to serve the president and not the United States. And yet, after the election was over, Bill Barr said, I don't think this election was stolen. We looked at it 20 different ways and we didn't see any evidence.
Because they thought he was done. They thought that it was over.
Yep. And
this just goes to prove again, I mean, we all know this here, but the Justice Department going after Trump, rightfully so, after the 2020 election, because of all the crimes and the things that he had committed during his time. But you have to follow through with a guy like Donald Trump. You cannot go halfway. You can't go 95%. You can't go 99%. You have to go 100%, Merrick Garland et al. You have to follow through, because if you miss, if you swing and you miss, or you don't get the job done, he will come back with a vengeance. This is the kind of person. He is sick. He's a sick, sick man, and he will not stop. It will, to Julie's point, it will never be enough for him.
Yep.
It will never be enough for him.
Well, and that's the thing Michelle, that's the thing I keep coming back to, is you look at the people he's indicting, right? Like, just from a tactical perspective, from a, strategic perspective. Yeah, there's a spectacle to it, but John Bolton's out of politics, right? Like, he's done. His credibility's kind of, like, he's outside of MAGA, he's outside of this. Is like, this is purely retribution. Mike Pence, Mike Pence is, if they go after him, he's not viable to run for a national office again.
Oh no, this is
Right.
revenge. That's all this
No,
is.
this is
Yeah, that's all
this
it
is
is.
all for
And
Donald Trump.
it
Yeah.
goes to your point is that this guy, and that's, I think in a lot of ways, that makes it worse. Because I'm going off of like what Dietrich Bonhoeffer talked about, like with evil, if it's calculated, then you kind of understand it, right? There's a rhythm to it, there's a logic to it. This is just madness. This is just like demented, malignant narcissism, and that guy has the nuclear codes. That guy is running the Justice Department. He may, well, I should paraphrase. He's not running it, but he could just snap his fingers and they'll do whatever he says. This is the last days of a failing inept tyrant. But we get it all at once, which is that to me is the terrifying
Why
part.
do you think it's last days? Why do you think he's inept? Because I don't think it's last days, and I don't think he's inept at all. I think he's mentally ill, but I don't think
I think he's mentally ill, and I think he has dementia. That's for sure too.
And I think he's got a lot of people around him who are incredibly capable, and
Yeah.
they're executing on his vision, and they're executing on his whims, and they're executing on his wants. And I don't think he's leaving. I mean, to the extent that you think this is the last days, people,
If he
I
did,
saw this.
yeah.
I saw this somewhere. People were tweeting, "Yes, it's only been 9 months. We're only like 3/4 of the way through, or 1/4 the way through, or whatever the number is." And I was like, "We are," because the only way this man is leaving is if he dies.
This is what I don't understand this. Every time I see somebody on TV or on a show or a podcast anywhere where they're like, "Well, we got 3 more years of this," I'm like, "What planet are you living on?
Yeah.
What planet are you living on?" This man lost an election fair and square, and then he incited a violent insurrection in which they hung a gallows, like a noose, outside the Capitol for Mike Pence. If you've read the Turner Diaries or know what those are, that all comes from the same playbook that these white nationalists and crazy people have been reading out of for decades. And they go into the Capitol with some of them with the intent in ending the lives of members of Congress and others, including Mike Pence. They take human feces, rub it all over the walls, trash the place, break the windows. And then after the fact, Donald Trump, first of all, they go too slow to even investigate Donald Trump. The whole thing, way too slow, Merrick Garland. And then the American people said, "You know what? Here are the keys. Here are the keys to the Capitol. Go back in." The fact that he walked into that rotunda to be inaugurated is honestly, that is the kind of, history books will tell that story in a way that I think that we will all be horrified and embarrassed on a level that I don't think we can even imagine in this moment, that we are already horrified. But it's like he did this thing and then he walked back through the front doors and was inaugurated as the 47th president of the United States in the very place.
I think that to answer your question, Julie, I think the reason this is the last days, we're talking from like a dictator, right? Not necessarily his presidential term. That's going to be what it's going to be. Like whether he serves 4 years or he tries to do more and they let him or whatever, that I can't answer. But I'll say this. One, his his health is declining rapidly. There's that component. Two, I don't think he's really running anything at this point. I think you have like Stephen Miller and Russell Voigt and maybe some JD Vance. They're running things. And so they're doing like basically you've got the advisors and the generals kind of building their own power base to try to take over when the dictator falls, which don't think that's going to work out for him. The big thing that makes me say that is, again, if you look at history and you look at all these authoritarian regimes, they have to do something for their supporters that at least in the beginning gives them a leg up. All Donald Trump is doing for not only all of us, but especially his supporters, is he's hurting them economically across the board. I mean, we've done shows this week about car notes, people going on GoFundMe for groceries. I mean, you look at where we were. It wasn't great in 2024, but there was some daylight. There was some like, okay, there's a possibility of things getting better. Like Pueblo, Colorado, which is in my district, unfortunately has Lauren Boebert. They were doing better. They were getting a lot of programs from the Infrastructure Act. And now all those have been cut. And Pueblo's a very depressed. And so the thing is, people are going to feel this pain. Now, we're going to see the No Kings protest on Saturday. And they're already calling people that show up terrorists. They're talking crazy stuff like Donald Trump wants to fly missiles overhead in California. Greg Abbott just said he wants to unleash the Texas National Guard against anybody that shows up for No Kings in Texas. I got news for you, bub. They're in Illinois. So don't know how that's going to work out for you logistically. But so the more you kind of clamp down on this, we're just seeing protests now. The calls for a general strike are getting more and more and more. The problem he's surrounded himself with, they're not serious economic people. They're not people that understand infrastructure and logistics. They're not the smart people. It's a bunch of Wall Street grifter and scam artists and crypto guys that they're paper tigers. Because once it starts, my thing is, once this really starts falling apart and everyone's looking around, Donald Trump's going to be throwing people to the wolves to try to save himself. But at a certain point, they're going to be like, look, it's broken. You broke it. Fix it. And they can't. And at that point, all bets are off. I don't know what happens after that, but all bets are off.
Well, this is where Donald Trump, I mean, his supporters have always, oh, well, Donald Trump's going to run the country like his business. And I'm like, well, how many times has he been bankrupt? And how many times has he 6 times? Look what he's done to his casinos, his all of his businesses, steaks, vodka, all the stuff. Guess what, guys? Trump Steaks is the United States of America.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
that is the truest state. That is the truest statement of any Trump supporter. He's like, he's going to run it like his business.
Guys, well done with ketchup.
Yeah.
The United States is well done with ketchup. I love it.
He's but look, this retribution tour he's on, he's not going to stop. And I know we're going to have a No Kings conversation in a few blocks, but I do want to just tell people, please, if you go out tomorrow, and you should, they're going to try to provoke you. They're going to try to incite you. Please do not get provoked. Do not get incited. If you see somebody doing that to you, just walk away. Just walk away.
Yeah.
Because if you start arguing or fighting or pushing back, he is dying to invoke the Insurrection Act.
And a lot of those people are plants. They're there to do that.
Proud Boys.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there you go.
Exactly.
All right.
Well, TGIF, guys, we'll be back in just a few seconds.
Are you ready for this? Are you ready?
All right. I'm sorry, guys. Well, speaking of stories that send a chill down spines in the country, I've got one that really will do the trick. And if it doesn't, well, I don't know what will. Politico reported Wednesday that a swastika flag was found hanging inside a congressional office. Let me say that again. A swastika, aka the Nazi flag, in the United States Capitol in 2025. The flag was seen in the office of first-term Republican Congressman Dave Taylor of Ohio. And the staffer responsible, Angelo Elia, was fired immediately. But that doesn't erase the larger problem. This is just days after Politico reported that a young Republicans group chat with over 28,000 messages joking about gas chambers, the R word, grape, calling black people, quote unquote, monkeys. This isn't just fringe crazies anymore. It's mainstream Republicanism. When Trump and his allies talk about, quote, retribution, unquote, and, quote, purging the deep state, unquote, people take that as permission. Michelle, Julie, when this kind of hate is happening inside the halls of Congress, not in some dark corner of the internet, how do we even begin to pull the country back from that precipice?
Michelle, suggestions, ideas?
Well, I don't know, because, you know, to reference the conversation we were having before with the insurrection in the halls of the Capitol on January 6th, doesn't this just kind of seem like the next natural progression of the state of affairs here? I mean, I don't know what the answer is here, but I certainly do know that you have to call them out. Now, I don't think a lot of these people can be shamed. I think they can be in the short term, but I think what all that it will do is move the goalposts for what's not acceptable, but what's shocking and what's not shocking. But we have to continue to call this out. We have to continue to hold them accountable. We have to continue to at least try to shame these people, because I say this often, I'll say it again, our grandfathers, many of our grandfathers, crossed oceans to fight this shit. And they would be spinning in their graves if they had any idea what is going on here in the United States 80 plus years later. This is disgusting. Disgusting.
Here's the part that I think is problematic. And again, I blame the media. They are normalizing this, right? Here's a Politico story. Again, oh, yes, there was a Nazi flag and a swastika. There you go, right? Found here.
Yeah.
The young Republicans said a bunch of really awful things. Let's ask J.D. Vance what he thinks. J.D. Vance is like not quite defending it, but not condemning it.
Mhm.
And I think what you need from reporters on the Hill or anywhere else is to go to Speaker Johnson and to say unequivocally, yes or no, do you condemn this rhetoric? Yes or no? And if the answer is but, the Democrats, whoever, there is no but, right? If one of us were found to have this kind of stuff in our office, there'd be no but. Oh, but I love Michelle. She's my really good friend. I'm doing the show with her. Michelle wouldn't be on the show anymore. It'd be like, sorry,
No.
Michelle.
Oh, God, no.
And vice versa, right? Like, you don't defend this stuff. It is real. Look, there are few things in life that are black and white. Like, there are very few things in life that don't have shades of gray. This is one of them. Nazis are bad. Swastikas are bad.
Yeah. Nazi bad, guys.
Yeah, calling black people monkeys is bad.
Also very
Saying you
bad.
want to put your enemies in a gas chamber, bad. Bad connotations, brings up bad memories, right? Just bad. There's nothing more to it. And we don't need to belabor this. We don't need to sit there and talk about like, well, but the the attorney general candidate in Virginia said this on his private chat. Like, bad. It's
Well,
just bad.
it is
And
bad. And the difference being also that person took responsibility for it, admitted to it, and, I think was at least a little bit regretful, but it doesn't matter. It is bad. It is bad, to your point, Julie. But again, like, the two sides are not the same. The two sides are not the same. They're just not. They're just not.
I think this is the problem. I used to be I was raised conservative back in the day, right? Not more of like an Eisenhower Republican. That's from my father and motherland.
Storming the beaches.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Right. We can just we have gotten to a place in this country where we don't say what's right and wrong, and we don't go with context. And it's really simple. When I was in the Marine Corps in the mid '90s, part of one of the people I was training with, he had some Nazi paraphernalia. It was in his locker during an inspection. He got pulled in for investigation, and he was gone. It was that simple. That's back then, right? And so the thing I'm looking at this is, and going to the AG in Virginia, it's about context too. That was leaked private text in 2022 after school shootings when Republicans weren't doing anything against gun legislation, and he was sick of kids dying. That's okay. I can understand that context. I would have actually appreciated if he came out and said, you know what, I shouldn't have said that, but the sentiment with what I was feeling was dead on. Right? This is wrong.
Yeah.
This unless it is a war trophy that was presented to you by some World War II vet and you got it in a case or something, there's no excuse.
Right.
And
Right.
this is something that and I've talked about this, when this is all said and done, we need to have demagnification like Germany had denazification.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a little extreme for it. No, it's not.
No.
Because it is okay for us. Well, what about free speech? Right, free speech, but there's consequences.
Yeah.
There's no tolerance for anti-Semitism. There's no tolerance for racism. There's no tolerance for Nazism.
And we don't
in
have
our
to be
society.
tolerant
No.
to your intolerance. Like, I'm
Well,
sorry.
And speaking of free speech, the right to protest, to peaceful protest, which is what's
Thank
going
you.
to happen tomorrow, is enshrined in the First Amendment. They're potentially talking about sending the National Guard, as you saw. For what? For what? To violate our First Amendment rights? They're
Right.
talking about firing missiles, Michelle. We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
Firing missiles off the coast of San Diego onto I-5, the biggest highway in California. They pulled back from that apparently, but that was a topic of discussion. Why? Coincidentally timed for this rally. This is a peaceful protest. And I have to say, even in the, you look at these pictures of John Lewis getting the shit kicked out of him. And all of these people in Selma getting the shit
I was
kicked out
just
of them.
watching that last night, actually.
And is that what they want? Is that so that Donald Trump can invoke the Insurrection Act? I mean, yes, the answer is the rhetorical question. The answer is yes. But listen, I'll just say this before we end the segment. When I was very young, I had a cousin who had a husband who at that point was already quite old. He had a humongous Nazi flag in his basement, and he showed it to me. And the reason he did was he liberated Dachau. And that's one of the things that he took.
Different.
That's one of the things that he took. And I have never forgotten seeing that flag. It was seeing that flag and having, I was 12, 13 at the time, and having this shred of horror. Because even though he took it as part of liberating a concentration camp in World War II, still even seeing it and seeing where it had flown at one point, it was like a piece of evil that I was looking at, and I just had bad juju.
I feel like things like that kind of
but
lack the energy of the world around.
But he had that as a memento to remind himself of the worst thing he'd ever seen in his whatever at that point years on Earth. And he died shortly thereafter, and so this was a very long time ago. But for some kid to work in a congressional office who's in his 20s or 30s, I don't know how old this kid was, but he's a kid, he's a young guy.
He looked very young.
Yeah. To have a Nazi flag, not as a memento of a horror of a concentration camp, but as a source of pride. And by the way, these people talk about the American flag and how much they venerate the flag. Embedded into the American flag. Tomorrow, if you go march, you take your American flag and you wrap it around yourself. Because that's America.
I got mine right over here, ready to go.
America, not this.
And sorry, go ahead.
No, the thing is like, again, I'm all for free speech. You want to have a Nazi flag? Go for it, man. Go have it in your office, and your like one of your staffer does it. Sure. Consequences come with that. Staffer gets fired. You get investigated. You get at the minimum censured. If not, you lose your seat. It has to be that harsh and that swift to knock this out.
Let me just add one more thing, and we really do have to go. That was on a call that this kid was on, right? Where was this? Was he operating out of his congressional office? So were people walking by him every day and seeing this? Is this guy
not saying anything?
Is this guy working from home? In which case, he obviously was on calls with his staff all the time because you have to. And if this, listen, I'm not at home, but if this mirror were my background every day, you guys would see it every day.
Yeah.
If that's your background every day, other staff see it. I mean, I've worked in congressional offices. You're on top of each other. They're teeny tiny. And I don't know.
Not to mention, in the days after COVID, I mean, our setups and where we have calls and things that you see behind them are pretty intentional. I mean, we set these things up, and I really quick before we go, and again, like this, he was a kid. He's a kid, but he's an adult.
Yes.
This person was an adult. Children don't have jobs. Adults have jobs.
And he was
And
in a cubicle in his
yes,
office.
he was in a cubicle. And to the same point of these young Republicans who were, the oldest was 35 years old. These were grown ass people. And this is what JD Vance, again, the fish rots from the head. This is what JD Vance had to say.
Focusing on what kids are saying in a group chat. Grow up. I'm sorry. Focus on the real issues. Don't focus on what kids say in group chats. But there's
so
this is how we lead to traumas and tragedies, right? It's the same thing that you hear at a sexual assault trial. Oh, that's boys just being boys. Oh, that's
locker
just
room talk.
that's just locker room talk. Oh, that's just it. No. I'm sorry. If you work in our politics, you're supposed to adhere to a higher standard. We're not supposed to have people like Donald Trump. If you're old enough to go to war and die for your country, you're old enough to take this job seriously and watch what the hell you say and how you act. We've got to stop this lack of standards and letting these freaking tricksters and hucksters like JD Vance tell us, oh, well, yeah, that's just, we got to focus on real. This is a real issue, JD. This is a real issue.
And by the way, if as somebody who has a kid and a young kid, but let me stress again, these were not children. But if they were, as the mother of a 13-year-old whose son is on a lot of group chats, if ever I saw that kind of language in my son's group chat, my response would not be, oh, just kids being kids. Why are we not focusing on the important thing? To say that he would be like, I don't even know what would happen to him. It would never happen because he's not that kid because he was raised right. But if I ever saw that kind of language, my excuse would not be like, oh, just a bunch of kids in a group chats. Let's focus on the important stuff like his grades or important stuff like his, athletic career or whatever. Like, no. You do not normalize this because those kids grow up to be these adults who are in their 30s. I think actually, Michelle, the oldest one might be 41.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah. They are not children. But if you have children and you're excusing this as just a bunch of kids in chats, that's how your children grow up to be these people.
I was 18 years old. And
go ahead.
I was 18 years old. I picked up a rifle for the Marine Corps. They taught me how to survive combat. We got to stop this. If you're talking about, Gen Z is, okay, stop treating them like children. Stop treating them like kids. They're grown-ass adults.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Give them consequences. There needs to be consequence. These conservatives have created a consequence-free society because their leader is a gigantic POS. No, stop. It's enough.
Yeah, and by the way, no, there has to be consequences not just for adults. There has to be consequences for children if they do this.
Yes.
Thank you.
There has to be consequences for anybody. It is not acceptable. Like the fact that we're even spending the last 15 minutes talking about why it's not acceptable for somebody to have a swastika or to call black people a monkey or to say that they're watermelon eaters, whatever they said, to talk about concentration camps and putting people in gas ovens. Like the fact that we're even having to spend one iota of our energy explaining why this isn't right.
Yes.
Is the biggest disgrace of all. We should move on because I think we've made our point. But the fact that we're the ones having to make it, and I just didn't spend 10 minutes at CNN talking about that. I spent a little bit of time talking about that, but why we didn't have a whole discussion about how, hey, I don't give a shit who you are. Take responsibility. The media needs to take responsibility for this.
That's right.
Stop both siding this shit and give it platforms to people like JD Vance to spew this bullshit.
There are no both sides to Nazis and gas chambers and this kind of stuff in this country. Not now, not ever before, not ever in our lifetime. So we will be right back.
Well, you guys, it's Friday, so I thought we'd have some happy news, but apparently we're having a depressing show today because things continue to get worse and worse. We just talked about what's going on in the executive branch. We just talked about what's going on in the legislative branch with these members of Congress having swastikas in their offices. And now we have the judicial branch. The Supreme Court is about to make a ruling that could rip apart the Voting Rights Act. That's right, the Voting Rights Act of 1964, one of the greatest pieces of legislation of the 20th century, We're not talking about incremental change. We're talking about gutting one of the most important civil rights laws in America. And let me explain why. In Louisiana versus Calais, the court is reconsidering Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. Section 2 is critical. That lets courts step in when racial vote dilution occurs, even when there's no overt discriminatory intent, i.e., you don't pack Black people all into one district to marginalize them and to create white districts for everybody else. The conservative majority, of course, thank you to all of the Republican presidents who decided to put them on the court so that this kind of outcome would happen, is signaling that they want to limit or eliminate the ability for voters of color to challenge maps that systematically dilute their power. These are redistricting maps. Here's the irony. They're calling for a colorblind constitution as though race no longer matters, while in practice, what that means is letting discrimination hide behind neutral laws. And I just want to be clear, if they succeed, it would erase a key tool for ensuring fair maps and equal access to representation. People of color would be forced either to live in extreme enclaves or forever have diluted power across hostile districts that don't care about them. Frederick, you, my friend, are from a part of the country originally that inspired this wonderful law in the 1960s. How do you even begin to describe the damage for democracy if the court does do what we think and know they will do very shortly and just eradicate Section 2 of the Civil Rights Act?
This one really hits me kind of on a personal level because I'm a native-born Texan. My family name Pogue is Southern. My dad is from Macon, Mississippi. There are African Americans in Memphis and in Mississippi that have the surname Pogue because my family owned them during the Civil War. I've had members on that side of the family that were Klan. I've had there was a mint dish that our family it was a treasured heirloom. I think my dad got rid of it. Where Jefferson Davis ate mints out of it. It was silver, right? And we were very proud of that. Or I wasn't, but my family was. The fact that they want to call the Constitution colorblind when you have 3/5 clause, when you have an entire Civil War, which was fought over the question of slavery, which Southern papers made no bones about, period. Southern lawmakers made no bones about. Preston Brooks beat Charles Sumner on the floor of Congress, or the House, with a cane. And when he went back to South Carolina, was given canes as a gift. This, to your point, Julie, the 1965 Voting Rights Act was a late and significant step into reversing course to undo this culture that the South desperately needs to get out of, that it's still in many ways mired in. Even in East Tennessee, when I was growing up, on I-26, heading into Virginia, on private land, a massive Confederate battle flag flying over. You know, this is a part of the country. This is a part of our culture that needs to go. It needs to be done because it is still doing damage and has been doing damage since the inception. I mean, hell, it was just not even like back when I was organizing in 2012, Irwin, Tennessee did not they just finally recognized MLK Day. They made a specific ordinance not to recognize it. So this absolute whitewashing of history, this whitewashing of a place that they're from, a lot of these they know this. They absolutely know this, and it's purposeful. It's this ignorance that they profess to have, like, oh yeah, and no. Scalia at least tried to get around and say, well, you've got to apply it to the rest of the country. It's not fair to do it to these specific states. Okay, I'm for that. Let's do it. When he gutted the 1965 Voting Rights Act. But now they're just saying like, oh yeah, if you're an individual state, you want to have racial discrimination, like, oh, okay, you want to violate people's civil rights, you want to violate their voting, okay, no problem. It's unconscionable.
Let me just say this.
You know.
I worked on redistricting for decades. And when you draw a congressional map, it is incredibly, you do it with an incredible intent. Every district, every precinct, every street, because you can carve up literal towns. It's not like you have to put them all in the same district. There are certain districts that you cannot touch because they're majority districts, and you would be diluting the votes of people of color who've been traditionally disenfranchised. So you have to start drawing around it, right? And you have to take these issues into account to make sure that you're not doing that. And that is thanks to the laws that you have. And if you get rid of this, and I said 1964, you're right, Frederick, it was 1965. Thanks for that correction. But if you get rid of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and let's remember why it was passed in 1965. Let's remember what was happening prior to the passage of that law. Jim Crow, governor standing at doors of schoolhouses. I mean, there was tremendous anguish happening, especially in down south. And when you start now saying to people like me who draw maps, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Why don't you spread this Black community into 5 different districts so that they don't have a Black representative? There's not going to be enough of them to elect a Black representative or a Latino representative. Or why don't you pack them all in together into one congressional district so that you're going to have 1 member of Congress as opposed to having 3 members of Congress of color because you're packing them. You guys, what this is going to result in, for those of us who know how to draw congressional maps, what this is going to result in is a horror that is you're going to see the most lily white Congress. You're going to see people who just don't care about anybody but people who look like them. And you're going to see swastikas in congressional offices because nobody's going to be left to hold them to account.
And again, on January 6th, there was an insurrectionist who walked into the halls of Congress with a Confederate flag, a big giant one.
Yep.
And
Jefferson Davis never did it, but Donald Trump did.
And you know, on the flip side, Frederick, of your family, like, you know, my family's been here for a long ass time, and my ancestors fought for the Union in the Civil War proudly. And for a long time, we had one of their diaries. He was he kept a diary for the general that he worked for, with wounded and killed. He would walk around and take a tally of the people on the battlefield. There was a piece of his uniform. There was actually a signature of General Sherman. Like, I mean, something that we're very, very proud of, and something that I've carried with me as an American. But I look at what's happening now, and I'm not naive, right? This country's done a lot of horrible things, but I thought we were better than this. But apparently we're not. And apparently the South did win the Civil War, because we're still fighting the same fight. And the fact that we are still fighting the same fight means that we didn't win, that they won. And I used to make a joke that, you know, oh, the South will rise again and do what? Enslave people? A joke that I would make, but apparently that's what they want to do. And you know, I don't think that they're going to stop until, Julie, to your point, everybody everywhere is somebody who looks like them. I mean, Stephen Miller has made jokes that if it was up to him, 100 million people would live in the United States of America, and they would all be white.
Here's the I'll just say this real quick, and I'll let you launch, Julie. Like, here's the worst part of it is they think that, we're getting one over on these black folks. We're going to be pushed back up against. No, man, it's hurting you too. It is hurting you too, because now you're not going to have congressional reps that are working for you. They're working for the man. They're working for money and interest. And you saw that even in the Confederacy. The state that had the most people die, most soldiers die, was North Carolina. State that had the least amount of slaves, North Carolina. And even back then they knew there was people that were against it. About a third of the South said, I'm not going to war for some planter. I'm not going to war for these rich folks and dying for them. Cold Mountain's all about that.
Sounds familiar, right?
Right. It's the same thing. We're mired in this muck. My dad was part of the New South that was trying to get away from this garbage, because and that's why I was raised different, is because he saw it back then that you're just holding us back, and that's it. These people that want to take us back there, they're not just hurting black folks, they're hurting everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. So go ahead, Julie. That's I'm
Well,
done
I'm
preaching.
gonna end this other than to say that Clarence Thomas will surely be one of the people that's going to vote this way. Clarence Thomas is from Pinpoint, Georgia.
I can't.
And Clarence Thomas has had a chip on his shoulder because he thinks people think he only got into Yale Law School because he's black. I have no idea why Clarence Thomas got into Yale Law School. I don't know what his grades were. I don't know what his qualifications were. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think Barack Obama got into Harvard Law School because he's black. I don't think
No.
Michelle Obama got into Harvard Law School because she's black. I think they're really smart.
Yeah.
And I don't think Michelle Obama took my seat in Princeton. I think she earned it. Right?
Yeah.
And for Clarence Thomas to consistently vote because of his own personal issues, because he wants validation.
Go to therapy, y'all.
Go to therapy.
Oh my God.
Don't take it out on us. Don't take it
Right.
out on us. Because
Clarence,
I'll tell you,
no,
I'm not black. I don't live down south. Civil Rights Act doesn't really impact me directly, but of course it does, because it's because the people down there who are going to be harmed, the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, right? Don Lewis back when he was alive. These are some of the. John Lewis, my God, one of the greatest. One of my pleasures in life. Honors in life was that I met John Lewis and shook his hand.
Wow.
Like people like that are going to be pushed out. Their districts eliminated. Those people work for. I am honored, though he was not my congressman, that John Lewis was in Congress when I was alive, and therefore his policies affected me.
Yeah.
So this doesn't apply to just people down south. It doesn't just apply to black folks. It applies to all of us. Because we're one. God, I'm sorry to curse, but we're all one fucking community.
Yes.
We're one community. Why
we are a nation.
We're a nation. Why are we trying to disenfranchise each other?
We have the word united in the name of our country.
Yes.
Yep.
So on that note.
Yeah. And on that note, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
Friends, we were talking about this in the last couple blocks, but this Saturday, if you don't know already, people across this country in towns, villages, and cities are going to take to the streets for the No Kings protest. It will be a peaceful, patriotic stand against authoritarianism and the idea that one man can rule this nation. And predictably, the right is already losing its mind. Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, who always wears a big, giant cross, has called Democrats, and we have this clip, and I will show it. Democrats are Hamas sympathizers. And Speaker Mike Johnson has now said, not once but twice, that the No Kings protest is a hate America rally. I think Scott Bessent said something very similar. But if we know our history, which I know we all do here, the first No Kings rally was on December 16th, 1773. It was a little event called the Boston Tea Party. So let's be very clear here. There is nothing more American than standing up to tyranny. And No Kings means we love this country and we will fight for it. And we love everything that it stands for, everything that it could be. And they say all this stuff, and they're threatening to fly missiles into Camp Pendleton or whatever else. I mean, it's crazy. And they want us scared, and they want us quiet, and they want us to stay home, because every time we show up, they are reminded of how much power the American people have, and it terrifies them. So I would love to just take one last look at the latest ad that I produced for the Seneca Project. It is called Stand Up. And we produced this in partnership with Indivisible, who is the organization that's behind the No Kings protest and the No Kings movement. I'm going to go ahead and show that now.
We are together as one.
Yeah, I'm standing right here. I ain't got no fear, no fear, no fear. whole world is watching, and I hope we ready. Been through a whole lot, but we overcome.
People need to come together.
I was waiting for this, and now it's my turn.
This is restoring my faith in humanity. We are stronger together.
We got the power.
I love this country.
I mean, if that doesn't make you want to
Get out.
get
out
up,
there.
get up and get out, and so will this. This is Caroline Levitt. This is yesterday.
That the Democrat
Just kidding.
constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world.
Law-abiding Americans. Our 34-time felon president.
Michelle, are you a Hamas terrorist?
No.
Frederick, are you an illegal alien?
No, not recently. You know,
What's the third thing that we're supposed to be? Violent
Criminals.
criminals.
well, I kind of used to be. I was a United States Marine, so I mean, a little bit. I mean, I was violent criminal. I was violent criminal adjacent. Let's put it that way. You know, I'll say to Carolyn is I'll say, hey, look here. I'm not the one that's taking billions of dollars from Qatar that supports Hamas. I'm not the one giving them joint training commands up in Idaho. I'm not the one taking gold-plated aircrafts from them. I don't know how you can think Donald Trump isn't a Hamas supporter. It sure seems like he is.
Yeah. And if I think that this is the right clip. This is Speaker of the Keebler Elf Tree talking about this protest tomorrow.
Saturday, they're going to be parading around the National Mall. They call it the No Kings Rally. We call it the Hate America Rally because we have all the Marxists collected, all the Antifa people, you know, the BLM remnants. You'll have the, you know, the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party, and they're going to be out here demonstrating and screaming and wailing. And I'm afraid that Senate Democrats will not reopen the government until at least that event is behind them because they're afraid to confront the mob. So, I mean, look at the contrast between the two parties.
Yes, we will.
The evidence speaks for itself, and I think the American people are going to fully understand this when we head into those midterm elections next year.
Oh,
I love how they tell on themselves. They're afraid to confront the mob. I don't know, man. We don't have J6 insurrectionists and, you know, extremist groups that like we're afraid to confront. In fact, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries rarely listen to us.
Right.
So, because if they did, they'd fight a hell of a lot harder. So
yeah. And I'll say this too, and I said this to Julie the other night, that I have yet to see this many people with influence and celebrity and power speaking straight to camera, telling their followers, telling their people to show up tomorrow, including even Stephen Colbert did an entire segment in his opening monologue the other night, telling people to get their asses out. So, you know, I have high hopes for tomorrow. I have high hopes.
I here's the thing, just on a side note, can you call me a Leninist? Like, just mix it up. Like, I'm tired of Marxists. Call me a Leninist.
Most people don't even know what that means. They're
I know that, but they don't know what Marxist means either. So it's like, give me something.
Somebody should hand him a copy of Das Kapital and ask him to subscribe it. And then get back to us.
Gosh,
whether we really are Marxists. Like, which part of you do you think makes me a Marxist? Like, which part of Das Kapital are you referring to when you say that? Like, I would just love to do that. One reporter out there, anybody who works on the Hill, will you please get some fucking creativity and do that? Thank you so much. Let's move on.
I tried to read like got Das Kapital in college. I think I made it through like one chapter, and those translated English run-on German sentences, just like
you're not a Marxist.
I'm not.
I will say this last thing. I will say this last thing before we move on and into our weekends. Is that again The Republicans were not cast in the School Musical, and it shows. And they're still upset about it because the drama and flair of Stephen Miller, telling reporters that, oh, DC is worse than Baghdad, and now we're out here hollering and wailing in the streets. No one believes this. It's not real. Like, you're an angry elf, and you need to, calm down, come out, do whatever it is that you got to do, because the rest of us are tired of having to suffer because you didn't handle your issues.
What did you call it? The keeper of the Keebler elf tree?
Speaker of the
he never brings cookies. He never brings cookies.
You got to bring cookies to the rally, Mike Johnson.
I'll leave you with a quote from one of my sergeants when I was in the Marine Corps. He used to just get under like higher up skin. And we were talking one day, and I said, "Man, aren't you worried about getting in trouble?" And he just looked at me and says, "Poe," he's like, "We're Americans. It's our duty to be a pain in the ass to those in power." Like, it's our sacred birthright. I was like, so go out there and practice your sacred birthright on no kings. Be a pain in the ass.
Or if I may quote Karl Marx, from each according to their ability, to each according to his means. If you have the ability to get out there tomorrow, do it.
Yep, especially if you are white and were born in the United States of America and you were able-bodied, you better get your ass up. And we'll be right back.
So it's the surprise segment. And as usual, I have Julie and Michelle with me, and they are from New York. But did you know that there is a delicacy in Philadelphia called scrapple? And it is absolutely delicious.
Yes.
Oh.
It is. So for those of you who don't know what scrapple is, basically what it is it's made of beef and pork and some bones and
it's like mystery meat a little bit.
Oh yeah, cornmeal and flour, and I loved it when I got to.
Yeah, it's like some Depression era food for sure.
Oh yeah, I was raised in Hawaii, so like salty meats, loved it. I ate spam.
You probably ate a lot of spam in Hawaii, right?
Yeah, I was. So as a kid, we had like the school lunches would consist of fried spam, rice, sticky rice, and
that's a real
eggs.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's that's a cultural thing down there.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but this past week there was a scrapple sculpture contest in Philadelphia, and the winner that was absolutely enabled, and they made the mush tush, which is based on the push tush by the Philadelphia Eagles. And so this was this is in the Keystone and AP News. You can absolutely Google this and look this up. It is a mound of unidentifiable football players doing the push tush, and they won a $100 gift card, and they will be on display this weekend in Philadelphia. Oh, I think it was to Dietrich Meats, which is like a big right? And so they sponsored this, but it was the mush tush.
So I'm going to be in Pennsylvania starting tonight for a few days. Where is this in Philly? Do you know?
Let me see. It is in, it is in, let me see. It is, I think it is in, like, where is it? I got to figure it out.
Well, it's
I'm looking at the article that you sent.
Yes.
Reading Terminal Market is where.
There it is. Yes, Reading Terminal Market. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So you could go look at all the sculptures. Apparently, the one last year was like an egg inside of a rooster catch, like very creative. But this year, it is the mush tush.
I'm gonna have to try to persuade my husband to go look at Scrapple this weekend. I don't know if I'll succeed.
No, not just Scrapple sculptures.
Yeah, I'm saying seeing here it says the expert judge was Sasha Suda, chief executive of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. Like, so this is serious business.
The one that Rocky ran up the steps of, by the way.
Right.
Yes.
Or that's where actually the last No Kings protest. That's exactly where I was.
Yeah.
So everyone who is watching this video, and especially when it goes on YouTube, please leave a like, leave a comment if you want Julie to report back on the Scrapple sculptures and to provide a picture for our socials of Julie Roginski eating Scrapple in Pennsylvania.
Pixar, it didn't happen. Pixar, it didn't happen.
No. There's no Scrapple in my mouth. No way.
Why?
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
She literally did just say that.
But
all right, I'm about to get kicked out of the CNN conference room that I'm in, so I gotta go.
Yeah. You go.
Good stuff.
Please, I'm gonna echo what Frederick said. Please like and subscribe to us here on YouTube. It helps us immensely. Find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. This show and our other show over it that we co-host with Tara Setmayer and JoJo from Jurors, which you can tune in tomorrow. We're doing a pre-protest pep rally just with the 4 of us or 3 of us, whoever can come, at 10 o'clock in the morning Eastern tomorrow, just for a short chat before we hit the streets. So everybody, you please have a lovely day, a safe weekend, and stand up, do not stand by. Stand up and march in the streets this weekend. We'll be looking for you. Send us your pictures, tag us, and we'll see y'all on Monday, 8 o'clock. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.